Welcome back, everybody, to True Talk with TruMotion, where a couple of guys talk about how to make the world a better place and hopefully make your day a little bit better in the process. My name is Mark, followed by my co-host Stephen. Let's get this thing kicked off. Well, I don't know when you guys will be listening to this, but this is our post-Thanksgiving episode. Yesterday was Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is one of my personal favorite holidays. Not only for the fact that you get to hang around, watch football, and eat good food and all that stuff, but it really forces us to reflect on who we're thankful for, what we're thankful for, and how we're really appreciative of the people that we have around us. Unfortunately, we need a holiday to remind us of that. So I know for myself personally, I try to do my best, even though I know I do fail at sometimes. I try to do my best to make sure the people that I truly am thankful for and I appreciate, I don't just wait for a holiday to tell them that. And I strongly encourage everybody that's listening to really do the same thing. If someone means a lot to you, tell them. Be like, hey, you really mean a lot to me. Thank you. Or, man, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have your companionship or your mentorship or whatever kind of ship that is. Okay. Don't be afraid to tell people that you care about them. Because like we'll get into today, it all can be taken away so fast. Okay. So I've done a lot of reflecting personally about who I'm very grateful for. Obviously, you can go with the stereotypical answers of like my family, my friends, all that stuff, that should be the case. But really kind of take a look at what you are truly, truly grateful for. Sometimes it could be something as simple as like, I'm grateful for my health. Or I'm grateful for the ability to stand up on my own. Or I'm grateful for the ability to talk. A lot of times, living in the United States, we take for granted the ability to speak our mind. I mean, there are places in the world where you're not allowed to voice your opinion. So I try to maintain that level of gratitude and gratefulness for the ability to speak our mind and speak what we want every single day. Because, again, I have to remind myself there are people out there that can't do that. So with it being Thanksgiving, I encourage everybody to take some time, truly think about what it is that they're grateful for, who it is that they're grateful for, and, tell them that you appreciate them, okay? And don't just wait for a holiday to do that. Like I said, too often we wait for an occasion to do something nice for somebody or to tell somebody that we love them. Like, you should tell the people you love that you love them every single day. If you appreciate somebody, every time you see them, you should tell them that you're appreciative of them every single day. They should almost borderline get annoyed with it. That's when you know you're doing it right.
Stop being so thankful.
Exactly. Be like, oh, yeah.
Stop showing your gratitude so much.
Here's somebody coming around telling me that they're thankful for him again. That's what they should think of when they see you, because you're telling them so often that they can almost repeat what you're going to say. So we did want to kind of get on today and talk to you guys about a couple of personal stories about the ability to be grateful for something more than just people. Because like I was talking about earlier, being thankful could be something as simple as the ability to stand up, or your health, and how fast it can be taken away if you're not careful. So we wanted to kind of get on and tell a couple of personal stories about what it is that we are truly grateful for and how we're not taking it for granted, because we know that any given moment it could be snatched away at any second. And that's a scary thing, but it's also, I guess, a refreshing thing at the same time, because if you're being grateful every day, you know that you've done your best in that given time frame, and you're like, okay, I've got nothing left to prove with it. So Stephen was telling me a story, and I was like, that's great. I think you should talk about that. So I'm going to kind of turn the time over to him so he can tell you an awesome story about himself, and I'll just leave it at that. So I'll turn it over to you.
Well, you set the bar pretty high. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm very grateful to be here, to be able to compete in martial arts, to be able to train martial arts. And we all know that martial arts requires a lot of physical activity. So I had the wonderful opportunity to be born with lower lumbar kyphosis, which in layman's terms is one of your square vertebrae is shaped as a triangle. And so it's hard to build a skyscraper with a triangle, right? If you're stacking blocks, it's hard to go any higher than that.
Yeah, that I've heard that's not a good thing to have.
You put that at the top, that's called the roof.
There you go.
So unfortunately, it wasn't at the top. It was in the very middle of the back of my back, and it was pinching my spinal cord. So growing up, I always had this foreboding, not really foreboding, but like I had something in front of me that's like, okay, you're going to have to get this taken care of. You're going to have to get this dealt with. And it didn't help that the physicians and the doctors that I ran into, that I got consulted with, they told me that, we don't expect you to walk by your 18th birthday. We expect your spinal cord to be pinched if you don't do this, and your legs, you'll no longer have control over them. And that's scary to hear. But I was able to, thankfully, I had a wonderful surgeon, and I got that taken care of. And so truly, it was something that I did not expect to do, because it was something that I had put in my mind that it's like, okay, I'll barely be able to move. But instead, I'm in martial arts. I'm doing karate. I'm teaching young people how to punch and kick. I'm teaching adults how to defend themselves. And that's something I never thought I'd be able to do. And for that, I am immensely grateful.
Yeah, and it's even more impressive to hear stories like that, because he won't say it, but what was it, last week? Last week he had a goal of being able to bench press his own body weight, and he was able to accomplish that goal a week ago, actually. And that was a huge accomplishment, because I know that he's worked so hard, and you've come so far from when I first met you. It's interesting, because when Stephen first came in, he came in and did like a trial month. And I was like, okay, this kid really likes it. He's going to do great. And then he comes in, he's like, all right, my month's over. I'm going to stop. And I was like, what? To me, it boggled my mind, because he loved class. He came to every single class. He was flying through his material. I'm like, this guy's a lock for continuing on. And then when he said he was stopping, it really threw me for a loop. I was like, what do you mean you're stopping? Like, I couldn't comprehend the fact that he wasn't going to continue on. And then that's when he said that you have to get some back surgery, and it's going to take a little bit of time for you to recover. And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever, that's fine. Like, yeah, you can
typical excuse.
Yeah, I was like, well, sure, back
typical
surgery.
Cop out.
Yeah, like everybody says they're going to get back surgery. But I was like, okay, that's fine. We can still work through your recovery. And he's like, no, I really need to recover. So I was like, okay. And obviously, most people will be like, well, I'll be back later. And they everybody kind of tends to say that. Nobody ever does. So he said that. He's like, I'll be back when I'm all healed up. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm never going to see this guy again. So, but I was like, all right, well, we did our best with him. Like, I hope he does well in the future. I think it was about 2 years later, right? 4. It's 4 years later. Okay. 4 years later. He comes walking back in the studio, and I was like, it's like, hey, I remember you. What are you doing? It's like, I'm here to get back started again. And I was like, oh, what the hell? I guess you were telling me the truth. So the fact that he was told that he was never going to walk again at some point in his life, and then, like he said, he's actively training in martial arts and karate. He's actively teaching. he's getting stronger and stronger each and every time he works out is a huge, huge, huge thing. So again, that is something that you want to be immensely grateful for. And then, like I said, I mean, how fast it can be taken away. I mean, I'll tell a personal story with dealing with my family. My mom was unfortunately recently diagnosed with MS. And looking back on it, she probably has had the disease for about 20 some odd years, but she was very stoic and never complained about the early signs. And she kept them to herself, and because she didn't want to be a bother to anybody. And then finally she got diagnosed, and I've seen my mom, who is very much a busy person, running organizations, teaching music lessons, running choirs, like running a house, taking care of kids, someone that was always on the move, go from walking with a limp to walking with a cane to walking with a walker to barely being able to walk with that walker. And eventually she's going to be wheelchair bound. And it breaks my heart to see that, because she so much wants to be active. She wants to be able to be independent in terms of, hey, if she wants to go somewhere, she can go wherever she wants, whenever she wants. Now she has to feel like she has to be dependent on other people to take her there. And that really drives her crazy, because she never wants to be a burden on people. And now she feels like she's always a burden on people, which, if you're listening to this, Mom, you're not. I love you. I will take you wherever you need to go. Okay. But you always want to make sure that we are grateful for the ability to do just simple things, like the fact that you can wake up and stand up out of your bed and walk around your house. Man, I don't know of any other reason to be grateful for than that. I mean, there's obviously more to be grateful for, but that's a huge deal. Okay. So I don't want this to be a bummer episode, but you have to make sure that you don't take for granted the things that you have. You don't take for granted the people that you have. Unfortunately, sometimes the people we take for granted the most are the people we come in contact with every single day. Mainly like our friends, our family, our spouses, our children. I mean, as much as sometimes kids can drive you nuts, you're like, man, these are my kids and I love them and they do so many great things. I need to make sure I tell them that. Okay. So never forget the people around you. You know, familiarity breeds contempt, and we all know that. But if you're married, tell your wife or your husband that you love them. You know, if you're married and you have a wife, send them flowers. It's not that hard, and that means a lot. If you're a wife and you have a husband, you know, take your man out to dinner or let him watch football and just let him be still. I mean, simple acts of kindness go a long, long way. And more so, and men will say that they don't need this, but they're lying, they do. Tell them that you're proud of them. Tell them that you love them and you appreciate all the hard work that they do for you. If you tell them that, they will run through walls for you. Okay? So just always remember, you want to be grateful. Be grateful. Okay? I think one of the best lessons martial arts has taught me is the ability to be grateful. Okay? Because we were just Stephen and I were talking about earlier, when you're sparring, oh my gosh, there's so many lessons you can learn from sparring. When you're sparring, you could have a match where you're like, oh, freaking dominating everything. Everything you throw works. You're untouchable. It's like you're Bruce Lee reincarnated. 20 seconds later, you're just getting your ass handed to you. And you're just like, holy crap, what in the world happened? So sparring really teaches you to be humble and grateful. Be like, man, I'm grateful for the fact that I was doing really well, and I'm grateful for the fact that I didn't do very well. And we were also talking earlier that every person around you is either going to help you or teach you lessons. And be grateful for the help and be grateful for the lessons. Okay? Because you may not want to know the lesson or have this lesson taught to you at that time. But looking back on it, you'll be like, oh, God, I really needed that. Or I'm really grateful I had those people in my life. Okay. I look back on things in my earlier part of my martial arts career where it's like, for a while, I was really bitter. I was like, oh my gosh, these people, some of the people I was working with were just, not fair at the time or whatever. I mean, you can throw in whatever. But looking back on it, I am very grateful for all the experiences and lessons and the ability to work with the people that I did, because they taught me a lot of good things and they taught me a lot of things I probably shouldn't do. And I will be forever grateful and indebted to the people that I've come in contact with and had the ability to work with. So I don't know if they'll ever listen to this, but like those people that I had earlier contact with in my career, like I'm very grateful for you guys and the lessons that you taught me. And I hope that I know I'm better off, but hopefully I'm a good example of what you guys represented and what I'm representing moving forward. So have you ever noticed that with like your past where you're like, maybe it was like a girlfriend or a coworker where you're like, oh God, at the moment you're like, this is so awful, I hate him. And then looking back on it, you're like, that's exactly what I needed at that time.
Yeah. I have a couple examples. My biggest one was I'm grateful for some of the correction that I've received, because it's sort of curbed bad habits of mine. So getting written up at your retail job isn't fun. It's terrible, but it helps you. You can either take it and use it as a lesson, or you can, continue down your same behavior. And I think everyone has these where it's like they come to a fork in the road where they have to make a decision, and maybe someone's there to help them on that decision, or maybe someone's there to encourage them to take one route or the other. But you got to be grateful for the ability to make that decision, and you got to be grateful for the ability or to know people who have maybe traveled that path, who are now helping you. So for me, I used to have a terrible thing with showing up to work late. And it's like, I got written up. It's just how it was. And it's like, well, I got to fix that. And so I came to that resolution that I have to make a decision. Do I want to continue my habit and probably lose my job? Or do I want to make an effort to show up and get there on time? And I'm grateful for that, because it was an uncomfortable lesson. It was really something that it's like, this is really putting me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, I'm with you. It seems like lessons, they're not very fun to go through. Yeah, like you said, they definitely put you out of your comfort zone. And at the time, you're like, God, what a bunch of jerks. Or like, we try to play the victim of like, oh, poor me. And in reality, it's like, no, it's not poor you. It's almost borderline poor them, because they have to confront you with this uncomfortable conversation that neither one of you guys wants to have, but they know and they care about you enough to where it's like, I need to have this conversation with them or it's going to become a real problem in the future. No, I agree. I wish, for everybody out there, I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for everybody, but I wish lessons were like nice and they were fun and they were like, oh my gosh, I want to do that again. No, they're not. I mean, lessons, when you're getting taught a lesson, just even hearing that phrase, getting taught a lesson, we automatically associate it with a negative connotation. And in reality, it's the best thing that could happen to you. But in the moment, it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It really does.
I just came up with this really, really dumb saying. I'd rather have a lesson than be a moron.
Yeah. No, that's true. I'd rather have a lesson than be a moron also, because it's the truth. I mean, the people that, okay, I'm not calling everybody a moron because we've all been morons at one point, but the people that don't learn from their mistakes are morons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we all are morons at some point or
Yep.
another. Okay. So the key is to take these lessons, be grateful and thankful for these lessons, and learn from them. Okay. And be thankful for the people that taught you that lesson. Why? Because they care about you enough that they're willing to go through that little bit of uncomfortableness to know that they're going to help you succeed. Okay. So I guess in conclusion, it's not going to be a very long episode today because we don't want to sound preachy, but be grateful, be appreciative, be thankful, and try to do that every single day. So that's one thing that we're doing here at, in the South Jordan School, to where every single class, every single lesson, I'm going to try to do my best to remember to tell the students, hey, something well that they did, thank them for coming to class, and tell them that I'm proud of them. Okay? Because like I said, any given moment, it could be snatched away at any given time. Okay? Because we were talking about 2020 when COVID happened. That was a very scary time to where nobody knew what was going on, and people were scared to come to class, and all of a sudden you're just like, are we going to have a dojo anymore? And that was in the blink of an eye. It went from 2 weeks to, I don't even know when it stopped. Okay. So we understand, or at least I understand, that wherever you're at in life can all of a sudden turn a 180. So I'm going to do my best to be grateful and appreciative of everything that I have and will have in the future, and understand who it comes from. Like, I am tremendously grateful for every single student that I come in contact with. Why? Because without the students, there's nobody to teach martial arts to. I tell them that all the time, that I'm extremely grateful for all of them. Why? Because if they didn't show up to class, I'd be teaching by myself, and that's boring. Okay? So remember who you're grateful for and why you're grateful for them, and make sure to tell them. Okay? So again, I don't want to try to come across preachy or anything like that. I just know that for me, it's a very important part, and it's a very big deal to me to make sure that I show that gratitude to the people around me every single day. So that's something that I'm going to talk with the assistants about, for myself about. Every single lesson, tell them something they did great. Tell them, thank them for coming to class, and tell them you're proud of them. Because how often, I'll pose this question to you. How often do people tell you that they're proud of you?
For those that are listening, not enough.
Yeah.
But it's also, man, but when they do, it really stands out.
Absolutely.
It's like,
absolutely.
I remember all the times, not all the times, but it's like every single time it's like, you're noted, like you're recognized. You remember that. It's just as powerful of a feeling of when you're called out for doing something wrong.
Yeah. I agree. It is just a powerful feeling. And we want to have that feeling as opposed to the lesson feeling. Those are the feelings we want to have, is when we're told we're doing something right. Not, hey, you did this wrong and you suck. You need to change. Yes, sir. Or yes, ma'am. So I think about that too. When people tell me that they're proud of me, it goes a long way. It really does go a long way. And it's very simple and it's very easy. It doesn't cost any money. It doesn't cost any time. It does take a little bit of effort to remember, be like, hey, make sure to tell this person that you're thankful for them. But the payoffs are huge. And you could tell the person that is maybe one step away from like feeling like they got nothing left, that one comment could literally save somebody's life. Okay. So never take for granted the power of telling somebody that you're thankful for them and you're happy to see them. Okay. Like, I don't know about you, but when I go into like we're talking about the bank earlier. When you go into the bank, they're like, "Hey, Stephen, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming in." No, they don't even know who the hell you are. They're like, next, have a nice day. You too. Thanks for taking my money. Okay. So I want this place to be the opposite, to where every person that comes in, it's like, "Oh my gosh, thanks for coming to class. It's so good to see you." I wish every place I went to would be like, "Man, it's good to see you. Man, it's good to see you. Oh my gosh, you did so good today. Thanks for, man, you just killed it today in class." Or, "Man, what a good conversation. Like, you're a rock star. Thanks for coming to class. I'm so proud of you." If everybody that you came in contact with said something like that, I truly believe the world would be a different place.
Yeah.
Like, nobody would be depressed. Nobody would be upset. Nobody would be feeling down. I don't even know if people would have conflicts with each other. I mean, that's pretty ambitious thinking. I mean, because, if you're a jerk, you're always going to find a way to be a jerk. Mm-hmm. But if you keep telling that jerk how proud you are of them and how good it is to see you, they may just kind of, it's like the Grinch, their heart grew 2 sizes.
Yeah.
So I challenge everybody to, every person they see, genuinely tell them that it's good to see them and that you care about them. And thanks for coming with whatever they're doing. Or, "Dang, I'm so proud of you." If you have kids, tell them that you love them. You can't tell your kids that you love them enough. Okay? But also at the same time, make sure that you're strong enough to teach them the lessons. Okay? She can't be all one and not the other. Totally different topic, but just want to make sure we got that out there. Okay?
And if you feel like you can't do it, you can't give gratitude to somebody, you don't feel like you're genuine, smile. Start with a smile, and then you'll find it's a lot easier.
Smile and a wave.
Yep.
Smile and a wave. Or just a hi. Hi, how are you? Like, my wife is like, sometimes it drives her nuts, because every time we walk by people and like I see them, I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And she's like, "You say hi to like everybody." And it's like, well,
I've had friends visit from other states, and Utah is notorious for being pretty polite like that.
I've heard that too. Like, everybody will be like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Especially like on hiking trails and things.
Very much on hiking trails, yeah. I've noticed that when you're in the mountains, people are a lot politer in the mountains. So if you ever want people to say hi to you all the time, just go on a hike, apparently. So
on your left.
Yep, on your left. Exactly. So again, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I don't know when you'll be listening to this, but this is our post-Thanksgiving episode. And just tell the people that you're thankful for them and you're grateful for them. So we'll be having some other special guests on in the next couple of weeks, and we'll see how many episodes we can get through the holiday season. So if you have any questions or comments or topics you would like us to discuss, feel free to leave a comment in the comments down below. We are on Spotify and Amazon Music now. We're still working on getting onto the iTunes platform, but feel free to give us a like and a follow and all that stuff, and help us grow the show. We're not doing this for any sort of money or recognition. We just want to make sure that we're putting out a positive message out there into the world, to where hopefully we can make some meaningful change. Okay, that's our biggest point. With TruMotion, our motto is building better people. And I truly believe that when you build better people, you build a better world. Okay? And the world needs better people right now. So If you know somebody that hasn't heard of us, please share the show. Let's try to get this thing growing. And again, thanks for listening. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to hear our message. Again, we're just a couple of guys from South Jordan teaching karate and trying to put a message of positivity out there into the world. So happy Thanksgiving. Have a great afternoon, and make sure you kick it with us next time.
Kick it with us next time. Bye, everyone.